This is the debriefing video for the board meeting on the 9th of September 2024 at 6 p.m. Fairly normal opening to the meeting. We did have one approval for a hiring of a firefighter, one of the response firefighters, which is excellent. Can always use more of those. And Heather didn't make the beginning of the meeting. Scott Christmas was excused. He had an event that he was going to, announcing a horse show. And then Heather had an emergency come up. She came in partway through the meeting, so she wasn't there at the very beginning of it. In our visiting official and Canada updates, we had a few things there. Kim Sear, the county commissioner, talked about the waste management system, garbage, trash, including like our transfer station, that type of material, and what the county's trying to do to organize that a little better, and that he's rerunning for office for county commissioner again. Next, we had Michael Bennett had stepped down to talk to the public about some of the voting kind of public service announcement. He said, in that if you do straight party ticket voting, you might miss some of the votes. Some things are nonpartisan, so you'll miss those. But specifically related to the township, we have 3 people running as trustees on the Republican side, 2 on the Democrat side, and there's 4 trustee positions. So if you vote straight party and just do that on the Republican side, you'll miss 1 vote for trustee. If you want to cross over, you'll miss 2 if you just do the Democrat side and don't cross over somewhat there. Next, Stephanie Barrett talked about she's running for Water Resource Commissioner because Brenda's not running again. And then Bill Scott talked about that cleanup, some of the blood cleanup in the township he thought was going good, and that he thought the fire department essentially should be more politically involved in some way. Obviously, him and I disagree over that. Next, we get on to our decision items. And the first one is the wastewater management committee members. And we approved Heather being the primary and Christy being the alternate on that. May need to be adjustments or may not, depending on how the election goes. Next, we added the deputy clerk to the bank accounts, primarily admin assistant, also set up to be deputy clerk. And so we're working on getting those underway this week, so she has full access there. The backup generators, decent amount of discussion on the situation with the backup generators. It ended up passing for the Belasco quote in a 4-2 vote. So it was split, but it did pass. I have that signed and set into them, so working on getting that rolling. Next, we have the zoning ordinance for roofs, and this just lightly eased up some of the restrictions that appear that they were put in there more to restrict certain types of housing, and so that passed. And then one zoning change for residential to ag has a whole interesting history. Obviously, mass rezoning back in 06 and everything, but they have horses on there now, and they're looking at potentially trying to get an events venue going, and that ended up passing. Next, discussion items. We talked about the CPA firm oversight and decently large quotes as far as that goes. Have to have more discussion over it and look at more things. Not everyone will quote us, or at least the one firm won't, until our current finances get sorted out. And then Christy was going to reach out to an individual in the county and see what that type of situation may look like as well, just so we have more information. Next, we have land combinations with special assessments. This is really just an FYI in case the board needs to do something, but we need a legal opinion on that to make sure we're going about it correctly. Next, we have bike trail project statute, and Ron was here representing the bike groups, talked about it a little bit. Everyone's fine with the process moving forward, and it has to jump through several hoops, several different commissions and committees and boards, but that is underway. Essentially, they're working on that. We talked about the logo design. Seemed like everyone, the board members, were on board with having some sort of community contest and looking at doing submissions for looking at a new logo. Next, we have the Dalton Road project. Fair amount of discussion there. Nothing in particular has changed, but Michael did say that he would like a survey. So a letter, I'll work on getting something sent out to the Dalton residents about that area to see if they want it, if they're willing to contribute, that type of thing. Next, we talked about the speed sign, and everyone was fine with looking at this going into the next budget. And I reached out to the road commission again, because I think it's been a couple of years since I had the discussions about it, and see what they say, maybe the sheriff's department as well, and see what they say about that idea, just so the board has more more information when they're looking at that for the next budget season. And next we had our REU agreement. Everyone's fine with just getting it written up in a simple like resolution type of format, simple agreement, memorandum of understanding, sometimes they're called, and have some of the wording from the lawyer, but I'll flesh it out into its proper format and just pass that so it explains how the calculation is being done in the future, basically. Next, we have recently gotten a request for doing a letter of support for an organization in the county that's trying to get a grant for doing some reforesting of some of the areas that have lost their trees. So everyone's fine with doing that, and I got that letter sent off. Next, Scott had talked again about a few different things about purchasing a logo online, getting the county to look at the speed sign stuff, and changing the structure of the township to a superintendent model. So a bunch of specifics there. I'll let people debate. I don't think that'll go anywhere. And then Karen Fowler had talked about her concerns about the clerk potentially coming back in the election, which is a possibility, and that they have the Historical Society up and running if anyone wants to get involved or find out more or has anything to contribute. So that is the meeting. If anyone has questions, thoughts, ideas, comments, concerns, feel free to reach out. My direct line off, area code 231-332-6700, or email supervisor@daltontownship.org. Otherwise, that is Jeff signing off until next time.